The morning at the US Capitol began in an unusually tense atmosphere. The west front of the historic building, normally buzzing with school groups, tourists, and everyday Americans, stood eerily quiet. A sign taped to the grand doors summed up the day's disruption. Closed until further notice. At a press conference assembled at the site, Speaker Mike Johnson said, "Today, America's boys and girls will walk up to these doors and they'll see something different, a sign that says closed until further notice." That's because at midnight, Democrats followed through on their threat to shut down the United States government. Johnson described the gravity of the situation. Hundreds of thousands of federal workers had received furlough notices overnight. Nearly half of our civilian workforce is being sent home, he said gravely. Troops and Border Patrol agents were still on duty, but would go without pay. Essential benefits, food assistance, veterans support, and aid for women and children had come to a halt. The Speaker placed the blame squarely on Democrats. Democrats could have worked with us in a bipartisan manner to avert this unnecessary and very harmful shutdown, he said. Instead, Johnson accused them of prioritizing taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal aliens over keeping the government open for American citizens. He pointed to the House-passed measure, a simple, clean, 24-page bipartisan continuing resolution similar to one Democrats had supported earlier in the year. This time, Johnson said, they rejected it and demanded more than $1.5 trillion in new federal spending. "We can't do that. We won't do it," he stated firmly. Johnson argued that the House had already done its part weeks ago. Republicans did our job. We had one Democrat join us there, so it was bipartisan. But every other Democrat in the House voted to shut the government down. And last night, 44 Democrats in the Senate did the same thing, he said. He explained that the resolution was not a final budget, but a stopgap measure designed to buy Congress 7 more weeks to reconcile the differences in House and Senate appropriations bills. There is nothing new in this legislation. There's no poison pill. There's no partisan tricks. There's no gimmicks whatsoever, he emphasized, adding that the only change was the man who is sitting in the Oval Office. Closing his remarks, Johnson said, "There's still time for Democrats to pass this clean, bipartisan bill that's sitting before them. I certainly pray they'll come to their senses soon, do the right and responsible thing." Next to speak was Senate Republican leader John Thune, who joined Johnson in attributing the crisis to Democratic leadership. "Unfortunately, we are here this morning in a government shutdown that Democrats wanted. Chuck Schumer, at the behest of a bunch of liberal far-left activist groups, has walked his Democrat colleagues into a boxed canyon. There's no way out, folks. This could have been avoided," Thune said, holding up a copy of the bill. Thune continued, "Does this look partisan? Does this look dirty to you? 24 pages to fund the government. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing else." Thune noted that similar measures had passed many times in the past. They want it to end. Vote with us to open up the government by voting this out of the Senate today, putting it on President Trump's desk, and he will sign it into law, he said. He stressed that some Senate Democrats had already joined the Republicans. It's not about who wins or who loses. It's about the American people. And they have taken the American people hostage in a way that they think benefits them politically, Thune warned. Taking the podium next, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise said, "Today marks day 1 of the Schumer shutdown. House Republicans came together weeks ago to prevent a government shutdown. We brought as straightforward of a bill as you can have to allow government to be funded for another 2 months while we negotiate our differences." Scalise accused Democrats of ideological posturing at the expense of ordinary Americans. One of the Democrat leaders confirmed yesterday that Democrats shut the government down to fund health care for illegal aliens. That is no way to hold the American people hostage, he said. He warned that the Democratic alternative proposal would harm rural health care. They want to cut and gut $50 billion out of rural hospitals. That's outrageous, Scalise said, adding that the time had come for Schumer to get over the tantrum and accept the clean stopgap bill. Echoing these sentiments, Senate Republican Whip John Barrasso said, "Today we're in the middle of the Schumer shutdown. The Democrats have caved in to the radical wing of the Democrat Party, abandoning the American people in the process. And why? Chuck Schumer wants to try to prove to somebody that he's more liberal than AOC. Barrasso warned that prolonging the shutdown would directly harm citizens. We hurt our military who may be without pay. We hurt our veterans who may not get health care, he said, urging Democrats to reconsider. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer was equally blunt. Government shutdowns unleash chaos on federal workers, delay pay for service members, and weaken our position on the global stage. To hold these people hostage instead of just letting them do their jobs is so wrong, he said. Emma highlighted what he called hypocrisy. These aren't my words. These are the words of congressional Democrats over the last 6 years. I hope that they will listen to their own advice for once, he added. He described the Democrats' position as a $1.5 trillion ransom note of radical demands and said the time for stage photo ops, selfies and scripted talking points is over. The time for deliberate action is now. Further reinforcing the Republican message, Senator Tom Cotton said, "Here we are in a Schumer shutdown. And why are we in a Schumer shutdown? Because Chuck Schumer is scared of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and his radical left-wing base." Cotton dismissed any prospect of backroom negotiations. Until then, there's nothing to negotiate. There's no compromises to be had. There's no gangs. There's no back channels, he said. Representative Elise Stefanik added, House Republicans voted to keep the government open with a clean CR, period. End of conversation. No gimmicks, no partisan demands. And yet all but one House Democrat voted no. She criticized Democrats for seeking to channel taxpayer funds into what she called radical projects, handouts for illegals, and climate schemes in foreign countries. She called the approach insulting and said only passing the clean bill will reopen the government. Senator Shelley Moore Capito said, the resounding theme that I've heard today is hijack and hostage. The American people are being held hostage and the process has been totally hijacked. Capito, who also serves on the Appropriations Committee, lamented the breakdown of regular order. Chuck Schumer did not put one single appropriations bill on the Senate floor last year. Our leader has put 3 on the floor, and our committee has passed 8 bills. That's the process to get the will of the American people reflected in spending priorities, she explained. Returning to close the press conference, Speaker Johnson said, we took the liberty this morning to play the highlight reel of everything our Democrat colleagues have said for the last several decades about shutdowns. They always said that shutting the government down would be dangerous, destructive, selfish and irresponsible. And suddenly now they've changed their tune. Don't buy it. The American people are not buying it. He cited a new poll showing 65% of Americans opposed using shutdowns as a negotiating tactic. He also criticized the Democrats' alternative proposal. If they care so much about health care for the American people, they would not shut the government down, Johnson said. He pointed to tangible disruptions caused by the funding lapse, halted nutrition programs for women, infants and children, blocked FEMA operations during hurricane season, and interruptions in flood insurance programs. He argued these were dangerous and destructive consequences of Democratic intransigence. Johnson concluded with a stark question. The only question that we'll leave you with this morning is, how long will the Democrats allow Chuck Schumer to drive them off this cliff? The press conference ended with Republican leaders united in their call for Democrats to approve what they described as a clean, temporary funding bill. One they insisted contained no gimmicks or partisan provisions, only a 7-week window to finalize appropriations. Across Washington, the immediate effects of the shutdown were already being felt. Federal workers were bracing for missed paychecks. Families reliant on nutrition assistance faced uncertainty, and military service members prepared to continue their duties without pay. In the halls of Congress, however, the political standoff showed no immediate sign of breaking. Republican leaders framed the impasse as an act of political brinkmanship by Democrats, designed to appease the party's progressive base. They argued that the choice before Congress was simple: reopen the government under the temporary resolution or prolong a shutdown that would deepen hardship for ordinary Americans. As the Capitol remained shuttered to the public, the broader question loomed over Washington: whether partisanship would yield to compromise before the shutdown inflicted deeper pain on the nation's citizens.